Thanks for watching. Show your support by liking this video and subscribing. Pawn to d4.
This is a book move. The opening is called Queen's Pawn Game.
Pawn to c4.
I played pawn to c5 to challenge white's central control and prepare to develop my queenside pieces. The move also pins white's knight on c4, creating a potential weakness in the pawn structure.
Pawn captures on d5 is best. This is a trade.
Queen captures on d5 is excellent. This defends a pawn on c5. This is a book move. The opening is called Queen's Gambit Decline, Austrian Defense, Gusev counter Gambit.
Pawn to e3 is good. Knight to f3 is best. This develops a knight.
Pawn captures on d4 is best. This is a trade.
Knight to c3 is brilliant. This attacks the queen. This develops a knight. This sacrifices the knight. Knight to c3 is brilliant. This attacks the queen. This develops a knight. This sacrifices the knight.
Queen to d8 is best. This defends a bishop on c8.
Pawn captures on d4.
Knight to f6.
Developing the knight to a strong central square, preparing to control the pawn to d5 square and potentially attacking black's pawn on d5, while also supporting the central pawns and preparing to develop other pieces.
Pawn to e6.
Bishop to c4 is the best move.
Bishop to e7 is best. This develops a bishop.
Kingside castle is best.
Kingside castle.
Rook to e1 is a solid move, preparing to develop the rest of the pieces and controlling the center with the rook. It also pins the knight on c6, limiting its mobility.
Developing the knight to a strong central square, supporting the pawn on pawn to d5 and preparing to control the pawn to d5 square, while also eyeing the pawn to d4 pawn and potentially putting pressure on black's position.
Pawn to a3.
Rook to a8 is good. Pawn to b6 is best.
Bishop to f4 is the best move.
Preparing to develop the kingside, pawn to g6 supports the pawn on pawn to f6 and prepares to potentially play h5, attacking the bishop on pawn to c2 and gaining space on the kingside.
Queen to d3 is a solid move that prepares to develop the queen side and puts pressure on black's position. It also pins black's knight on d5, making it difficult for them to play, and c4. This move is a key part of the Austrian defense strategy, aiming to control the center and create pawn structure advantages.
Pawn to b6.
Bishop to h6 is good. This develops a bishop. Pawn to h4 is best.
I played knight to d5 to attack black's pawn on d5, creating a pin on black's knight on c6, forcing him to move it and potentially weakening his pawn structure.
Rook from filer to d1 is excellent. This develops the rook. Knight captures on d5 is best. This is a trade.
Knight captures on c3.
Queen captures on c3.
Bishop to d7 is best. This defends a knight on c6. This develops a bishop.
Pawn to d5 is good. This offers a trade. This attacks the knight. This creates a checkmate threat. Bishop to f4 is best.
Bishop to f6.
Queen to d2 is a solid move, supporting the central pawn and preparing to develop the rest of the pieces. It also puts pressure on black's position, particularly on the pawn to d5 pawn.
Pawn captures on d5 is best. This is a trade.
Queen captures on d5.
Rook captures on e1 check is the best move.
Rook captures on e1 pins the black queen on d5, forcing her to retreat, while simultaneously gaining control of the center and preparing to launch a pawn storm on the kingside.
Preparing to develop the knight to a strong central square, supporting the pawn on pawn to d5 and putting pressure on black's position.
Queen to d6.
Knight to f5 is a strong move, attacking black's knight and preparing to develop the rest of the pieces. It also pins black's knight against the queen, gaining a strategic advantage.
Bishop captures on f5 is best. This is a trade.
Bishop captures on f5 pins the black knight on f5, attacking the pawn on pawn to e4 and gaining a strong initiative. This move also opens up the f-file for the rook to potentially use later.
Rook to e8 check is best. The game is over. White wins.